Hi, I'm Peter Tragos, host of the Lawyer You Know podcast and YouTube channel. The saying goes, everyone hates lawyers until you need one. Well, I'm here when you need one to answer your questions and give you insight that you didn't know you needed. Along with my partners, Pete Sardis, the professor, who has a finance and business background, and George Tragos, my dad, and the Conciliary, a criminal defense giant, we can answer any questions you have. What's up, everybody? We are here to talk about Ghislaine Maxwell's 20-year federal prison sentence. I've got my dad on here to talk about federal criminal law. That's what he spent a large portion of his career doing early on and what he still does a lot of now. So we're going to talk a little bit about what the sentence looks like, how they get to that sentence, why it's not what the prosecutor asked for, it's not what the defense asked for, it's not even what the guidelines were, what that usually can indicate when a federal judge does this. And then, of course, we're going to get your opinion as to whether or not you think this was too much time in prison, too little time in prison, or just enough. Now, tomorrow we are going to clip. I tried to do it before tonight, just didn't have time. We just got done with the dinner. And just for a little programming, scheduling announcement, probably no live tomorrow, even though I think R. Kelly is supposed to get sentenced in his case tomorrow, also a federal criminal case. But so one night this week, hopefully we'll be able to jump on and talk some about that. But probably nothing tomorrow. It's scheduled to play 36 holes, so I'll probably be tired at the end of the day. But we are here today. We are here now to talk about Ghislaine Maxwell. I got a lot of questions on Instagram, and I know you all, thank you, Steph, will have a lot of questions tonight. So we're going to get to as many of them as we can. We're probably going to be here for about 30 minutes. So if you have questions, let me know, and we will get to as many of them as we absolutely can. But 20 years is what she got. Prosecutors asked for something like 30 to 55. The defense attorneys asked for 4 to 5 years, something like that. And the guidelines were 15 and a half to 19 and a half years. So a lot of you were asking, how do they get to that number? How do they come, or how does the judge come to 20 years? You want to explain that, Dad, how the judge gets to 20 years?
Well, the way the judge gets to 20 years is in a normal sentencing situation. He gets a recommendation from the prosecutor. She gets a recommendation from the prosecutor. They get a recommendation from the probation office, and they get a recommendation from the defense lawyer. The judge then reads a pre-sentence report done by the probation as to all the background. And in this case, the judge knew the facts of the case because the judge tried the case. So the judge takes a look at the facts, her background, the recommendations, and the sentencing guidelines, which were established to make things uniform throughout the country for these types of crimes. In this case, the top of the guideline was 19 and a half years. The judge, she said 20 years. I think maybe just to send a little bit of a message to say this was worse than the top of the recommended sentence.
Oh, you meant she when you're talking about the judge. I thought you were talking about the defendant. I can't remember if the judge was male or female in this case.
No, that's what I was talking about, the judge.
Anyways, keep going.
I thought it was a he. Okay. Anyway, so that 6 months is just to say, look, the top of the guidelines, which the Supreme Court says is a reasonable sentence, is 19 and a half years. I'm giving you 20 because I want to send a message to you. This is worse than the top of the guidelines. And that's how the judge comes to a sentence. It's no science, really. It's no formula. It's no computer. It's a judge's opinion. Another judge could look at the same material and give a different sentence.
Right. And it's within the judicial discretion to give that. And it's close enough to the guidelines where I think the judge was able to make a statement without really going crazy one way or the other. Ghislaine Maxwell apologized, not for her actions necessarily, but for the feelings of the victims in the case and the hurt that everybody went through in the case. She also stated it should have been Jeffrey Epstein up there. And we got some quotes about that, which we knew was going to be the case. She thinks she is a scapegoat for Jeffrey Epstein. She made that very obvious. She also told the judge that she was innocent. There were some differing kind of apologies and wavering apologies from all reports. What do you think? What effect do you think that had on the judge? Now that we know the sentence, what effect do you think Ghislaine Maxwell's statements had on the judge, if any?
I don't really think those statements had any impact. The judge may have been impacted if we had a true apology, a true acceptance of responsibility. But I view her statement the same way you did. She did not accept responsibility. By not accepting responsibility, she also did not get a reduction in her sentencing guideline. One of the things in the sentencing guidelines are, if you accept responsibility, we'll reduce the maximum sentence. She didn't accept. She went to trial, which is also an indication of not accepting. Also, I'm sure she's going to appeal. Well, you can't accept responsibility for the crime and appeal at the same time. It just doesn't work that way. So therefore, what she said, I think, had no impact at all.
Luke Kingsbury, off topic here real quick. Non-politics, odds of criminal charges on Trump, scale of 1 to 10. What do you think? 1 being no chance, 10 being a good chance.
No chance.
You think a 1? I'm more like a 4. No. I think it's somewhere kind of in the middle.
No chance.
All right. Brianna, 25. Speculation. Would she have gotten more or less time had Epstein survived long enough to use them against each other? What do you think?
She might have gotten a lower sentence because she would have had an opportunity to cooperate against somebody. Right now, who's she going to cooperate against? She's the highest defendant in the chain that they have. So she can't cooperate against herself. The only other guy she could cooperate against is Epstein. Epstein's gone. So she didn't have the opportunity to reduce her sentence based on, excuse me, based on cooperation.
All right. Some questions from Instagram. Was this the maximum sentence she could have gotten? The answer to that is no. I think she could have gotten up to 60 years if you added all of them together. All of the charges that she was convicted of. Sorry, let me hide this comment because I want to show you guys all Tragos Law. That is our Twitter handle and our Instagram handle. I'm reading a lot of these. Do you need to go grab some water?
No, I'm good.
I am grabbing some of these questions from Instagram. We asked for some questions on there. You all delivered as always. So we are going to talk through a lot of the questions from Instagram and Twitter where we talk about a lot of these topics. We post some shorts on there as well, and we have some interaction on Twitter. So if you want to check that out, follow us at Tragos Law, and also like this video if you haven't already. There's 1,000 people in here on a Tuesday night at 10 o'clock. So that's kind of surprising to me to talk something non-Johnny Depp, but that's fun. So if you guys are interested in it, we're going to talk about it as always. Let me get to some more of these questions here. Who makes the decision on the sentence? That's the judge. A lot of people are confused, not confused, but they're wondering because Johnny Depp's case, the damages were decided by the jury. So this case, the damages or the punishment is decided by the judge, not the jury. Are there any more conspirators that can be brought up charges on? I think some people have said Prince Andrew. Is it Prince Andrew?
Prince Andrew, right.
So what about that? Do we think anything's going to come from any of the co-conspirators here that were in this ring?
I don't think anything's going to come from the Prince Andrew. I think that there could be some other co-conspirators, but because they're a lower level, I don't know if they're going to go through the trouble. I mean, you've got some pilots, you've got some people, but most of those people testified. And my guess is if they testified, they were given some assurance that they wouldn't be prosecuted. So my guess is this may be the end of it.
So you don't think Prince Andrew, any criminal prosecution coming from Prince Andrew? No. What type of prison will she be in, and will she serve all 20 years? So first off, we saw she's going to a prison in Connecticut.
Right.
What were you going to say about the prison?
It's a very popular prison. Almost all high-profile female convicted felons federally go to this prison. I've heard about this prison before for years because of who goes there. Now, she is, because of the type of offenses she was convicted of, she is not entitled to any of what we used to call gain time or credit time. She is actually going to serve, hypothetically, all 20 years. There are some methods of some early outs, like 6 months. Sometimes they let them out for some kind of a rehab program, or if they can go to some drug rehab, things like that. She's not eligible for most of those. These type of crimes are considered violent offenses. She will be treated as a violent offender. Also, she has a very severe sentence, 20 years. That will put her in another higher category. The Bureau of Prisons scores people based on the crime, their experience, all sorts of things. And she's going to be a high level, and she's going to be a high security.
So most likely she serves all 20 years if she lives long enough, because she's 60 or 61 years old, I think, at this point.
Or close to it, right?
Right. And then the other part of that question was, heard she's on suicide watch. So a lot of people have been talking about suicide watch. We've had clients on suicide watch before. What's it like when a client goes on suicide watch?
Well, they're checked on all the time. Sometimes they have video cameras that are watching their cells. They are isolated most of the time, and they give them paper clothes to wear, because paper they can't use to hang themselves.
And it's usually they're freezing. It's miserable.
We've
had clients
terrible.
do it, and they tell us it's the absolute worst. They're saying, no, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. Because they think that sometimes they're going to go to the medical ward, which is actually a lot easier on you. We've had some clients that just love being in the medical ward, and they give advice to other people in the medical ward, and they can become kings in the medical ward. Sometimes it's actually very interesting. But no, that is not the same thing as the suicide part of the prison. Regina Roy is a new member. If anybody's interested in joining the membership of the channel, it's in the description of the video. You can check and join there. Sometimes there are issues on phones or iPads. She's 60 years old now. Somebody just said, bring out the client list and hi, Papa Tragos. So a lot of people are asking, what about this black book? What about the client list? Are we going to find out any more? Why haven't we found out those names? What does the sentencing have to do with that?
The sentencing has nothing to do with that, except for the fact, again, she never accepted responsibility. She is not cooperating with the government. So she gets no benefits from that from the judge. So she's a straight sentence you and sends you to prison.
I see some people asking about golf and personal stuff, which is always fun, and we're going to get to that. I'll probably save that for the last 5 minutes for the people that don't care about that stuff. So when we get to the friend talk, we'll save that till a little closer to the end, and we'll talk a little bit about what we did today. Alicia Groves is a new member. Thank you, Alicia. Their phone book is public. Many names redacted. Many numbers still ring. Who is next for the prosecution? Seems like you think nobody's.
I don't know if anybody is. And I don't know if there are going to be federal prosecutions. Now, there may be some state prosecutions, but understand this is an international situation with her. She did it all over the world, different countries. It's a different situation for her than just, I don't know if they still call them Johns, but then the Johns are the people that actually use the service. Those people may be only prosecuted maybe in the locality where it happened. So there's a little difference between her and these individuals.
So if anybody watched our verdict reaction, which we did together months ago, you guys asked for predictions on prison sentences. I have the clip. I'm going to play it tomorrow at some point. I can't share it with how I'm set up right now, but my prediction the whole time was 20 years. Sometimes you get it right. Sometimes you get it wrong. A lot of it has to do with luck. You don't always, know exactly what's going to happen. But based on our experience, based on cases we've had, and you've had clients get 20 years before, and we've seen it happen in federal court. So we know how this kind of case goes. You kind of guessed 20 to 30 years.
Right.
So with that, 20 is obviously within 20 to 30 years. Why did you think potentially she was going to get a worse sentence than she ended up getting?
I think the public pressure, the press, the way that the whole world was going to hear what this sentence was, because these crimes happened in the whole world, that maybe this judge was going to make even more of an example of her. Frankly, I give the judge credit because the judge did it and sentenced her like probably she would any other person under the same circumstances. And that's what the judges should do. They shouldn't rely on the press or public pressure to sentence people.
Hi, Azam. Thanks for jumping on. Why were cameras, this is another one from Instagram, why were cameras not allowed in the courtroom? I have my ideas. So it seems like Melanie Andrus, who asked this on Instagram, thinks that there's something shady, or because of Ghislaine Maxwell and the connections in high places or the money. Maybe that's the reason that cameras didn't come in the courtroom. But what's the real reason?
It is standard practice in federal court not to have cameras.
Why is that?
Because federal court believes that cameras make it a showcase, make it more of a play rather than actually a trial, and it can affect the fairness of the trial or the way people act, or jurors as well. Sometimes jurors are worried about these cameras in the courtroom. So I think the federal court practice, they've got a lot of experience. They normally do not let cameras in. That's why you have a lot of sketch artists in federal court as well that sketch what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the arguments both ways, and we've seen some trials where it has turned into a spectacle. Ted Bundy, there were some issues with that. OJ, even the Johnny Depp, some people say that turned into a spectacle. And for any of you that haven't been around for a while, if you go and check out our podcast, way back in the day, we did a series on serial offense type of cases. And we got a lot of people that were actually involved in the Ted Bundy trial, including the prosecutor who was your roommate in law school or undergrad.
Yeah.
Larry Simpson, roommate in law school, was the actual
good
friend, was the actual prosecutor in the Ted Bundy trial. He came on our podcast, talked about what it was like to have cameras in the courtroom, talked about what it was like to prosecute Ted Bundy, talked about what kind of job Ted Bundy did, how the judge was, how everybody was. It was really, really interesting. If you guys ever are interested in that, go, scroll back into the archives of our podcast. Donna is asking how to become a member. There is a join link in the description of the video. Sometimes it doesn't work on your phone. You have to actually sign into the web page on your phone or do it on a desktop. You click join and it'll let you become a member. And actually this week we've done some members only content, some members only pictures, polls, things like that. So sometimes we'll do stuff like that, but we do a lot with our subscribers and stuff on the community page. So make sure you all join there. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I got over 25 questions on Instagram, and the vast majority of them are: who's next? Prince Andrew involved? Will she get out early? Was this too little or too much? Is there parole? Do you want to talk about parole versus supervised release?
There is no parole in federal court anymore. They have what's called supervised release, which is like a strict probation. When you get released from your prison sentence, you then become supervised release. So then you're out. In this case, she got a 5-year supervised release. So if she ever gets out, when she gets out, she has 5 more years of supervision, which again is a very strict probation.
Yes. And she was also fined $750,000, which her lawyers say she cannot pay. It's always interesting when this happens, when they can't pay, especially the people that we all think are rich and famous, maybe Amber Heard, things like that, where they can't pay these fines sometimes. It's always very interesting.
You know what's also interesting? The probation office usually recommends whether someone can't or can't pay a fine. And normally they'll say she cannot afford a fine. So in this case, it's interesting that they may not have said that for the judge to have banged her with that big a fine.
Val, you can check it out on iTunes and SoundCloud. It's called Lawyer You Know Now. The old one was Peter's Proffer, Proffer, but I think it should all be under Lawyer You Know Now. And you got to scroll back. But it's like, I'm sure we put Ted Bundy or Larry Simpson in the title. So check that out. Let's see here. Is it a maximum security prison where she's going?
Yes, I'm sure it is.
Donna, thank you for the super sticker. Stan, their phone book is public. We already did this one. Sorry. Let's see what else we got. People saying she's going to walk because money talks. It's over. Right? She's not going to walk.
She's not going to walk.
I mean, she could appeal.
Yes.
Obviously, she is going to appeal.
And even if she won her appeal, odds are it will still come back to be tried again. The appeal normally doesn't just release people. It normally sends it back for a new trial.
All right, let's see what else. Will there be any more civil suits against Maxwell? I haven't seen a lot about that. I don't know if you have, but there were funds already for the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. She was kind of involved in some of those with the civil cases. Yeah, I see Sister Sherry just asked it as well. If they haven't already taken place in the fund, taken money out of the fund, if they already haven't gotten civil recourse against her, yes, they could file civilly against her as long as the statute hasn't passed or they don't have a rule amendment in place to allow them to file this outside the statute, which brought a lot of these criminal cases forward. So, that is something that's totally outside the criminal realm. Because she's been convicted, that does not affect the civil case at all, except to make the civil case even easier, because now it is a per se type of civil violation, because once you've been convicted criminally, you automatically win liability in a civil case for the most part, and you just have to determine what your actual damages are. Patty is a new member. Thank you, Patty. Patricia saying it's not a maximum security prison. I don't know. I don't know which prison.
I don't know if you're right, because prison facilities have different levels of security within the facility.
Well, yeah. Okay.
And so
there are some max there, you're saying?
Yeah. So, she's not going to any place. She's got to go to the toughest place because she got a 20-year sentence.
All right. Let's see.
But it's a female facility, and that's maybe what you're seeing when you look it up.
Why do you think she wouldn't snitch or give names?
I don't know. Number one, they may not have wanted to make a deal with her. They may have wanted to make an example of her. They may have wanted to try her because Epstein's gone. She's the only one they had left. So the prosecutor may have said, look, we can't give this girl a deal. We've got to try her. We've got to convict her. We've got to send her to prison because of all those victims.
Somebody's saying she went to Danbury. Is that what the one that she
Yes.
went to? And they said it's a minimum security prison where Martha Stewart went to cakewalk. That's all the reports.
I don't think it's a cakewalk,
Okay.
but
Well, I don't want to go to any federal prison, so that's just me. And I like cakewalks. So, if she gave names, Kelbell's asking, if she gave names, could they even act on that? Yes.
yes.
If she gave names, they could prosecute more people. Absolutely. She could be their star witness. To me, I don't know why she didn't give names. Like my dad said, I think the best guess is that they didn't want to make a deal with her, because if they wanted to make a deal with her, they probably could have. I don't think she would go to her grave and go to prison for the rest of her life to save these people that were probably scumbags. So I don't know. I think the best guess would be that the government didn't want to make any deals with her. But to me, and if it was our client at this point, we would have advised her to probably snitch on some people to get a lesser penalty for herself, right? Because that's who we represent, and that's what we want. Who's best for is our client.
What's best for the client?
Right? Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people are saying, they're going to come and, take care of her, or then she's really going to be on suicide watch if she gives names. So I understand that. Let's see here. What else we got? Only 20 years, a lot of people are saying. We're going to hear the differences between this case and the R. Kelly case very soon, as he could get sentenced tomorrow, it seems like. All right, let's see if there are any more questions here before we kind of transition into if you guys have any other questions, not Ghislaine Maxwell related, for my dad or for me while we're here, personal or other cases. Let's see here. A lot of people saying, I hope she does flip on people. A lot of you thanking us for our insight, thanking us for coming on. We appreciate you guys all being here. It's been fun. Let's see here. Do you think she'll be segregated or kept isolated, I guess is a better word?
Well, that's going to be the prison authorities have to see about her safety. And if they think there's a risk for her safety, they'll isolate her.
Okay. Yeah. People saying they think she has money that she hid. How do they determine indigency in criminal court systems?
Well, number one, she has to do under oath statements saying that she doesn't have any finances, doesn't have any stocks, bonds, anything like that. And in this case, I am sure the government did an investigation behind that to make sure she had no assets. So if she was indigent, and I don't know that she was, but if she was indigent, I guarantee you that the government did an investigation to find out. Was she indigent? She have a private lawyer?
No, her lawyer. No, she had a private lawyer, but her lawyer said that she doesn't have the $750,000 to pay the fine, which $750,000 is a much higher bar than indigency. I just figured it was an interesting question for the topic area that we're at. Thank you, Declan, for the super sticker. A lot of people are also asking, where was the question I was going to... Oh, do you think it was the correct sentence?
It doesn't offend my sensibilities, I guess. I don't know if I would have done the same sentence or not, but 20 years is certainly a reasonable sentence for what she did.
And if you guys are late, because Vicky, I think, asked that and said she was late, my prediction was 20 years. His was 20 to 30. So it was right within kind of where we thought it would be. Gregory, hello from Toledo, Ohio. Keep up the good job. I love your videos. Thank you, Gregory. And Pete, our partner, is from Toledo. So good times. Good times. Let's see what else we got. All right. So it looks like that is all the Ghislaine Maxwell questions that we have. I have some other questions here. A lot of people saying love the father and son questions. Fun topic tonight. It is fun whenever we can jump on and do these. So hopefully we'll have time to do more while we're on the trip. So we're going to transition into some of the other questions, into some of the questions about golf, how we golfed today, where all that happened. And then if you guys have any, thank you, Jenny. This is fun. Changing the way we look at lawyers. That's nice because lawyers should have a good outlook sometimes. Kelbell. Oh my gosh, almost forgot. We should call ourselves Tragos Randos. That's funny. Tragos Randos. And you can be our fearless leader, Captain Pete. Hi, Daddy George, waves and stuff. That's funny, Kelbell. Tragos Randos. I think we got to at least make a shirt of it. At least make a shirt that says Tragos Randos. Okay, so we're going to transition here. Yeah, Kristen saying peace out. I'm sure a lot of people will leave now. Alyssa K is a member. Yeah, so if you were here for the Ghislaine Maxwell stuff, thank you guys so much for joining us. That's all we're going to do on Ghislaine Maxwell on this 20-year sentence. Answered your questions. It's been fun. We're going to take maybe 5 more minutes here before the 30-minute mark to talk Golf today, we played American Dunes, which is the shirt that I'm wearing and the hat that I'm wearing. The weather over here, Rebex Star, is we were in, what is it, Grand Rapids? Or where were we today? We were in Grand Rapids earlier. The weather was literally perfect, 70 degrees and sunny. The weather over here where we're at now, which is Arcadia, is 60 degrees and rainy and feels freezing, but it's really fun. So we're happy that we're here. We played individually today, but it's not really like mano a mano, 1v1. It was fun. My score was a little bit lower, but I play a lot more than he does. So let's see. Cassandra Hutchinson's testimony. Do you know what case that is?
No.
Carol, I'm sorry, I don't know what case that is. Mind Grown. Have you ever played Wynn Golf or Shadow Creek in Vegas? If so, thoughts on the courses, and did you watch the QB Capital One 2022 matchup? So we stayed at the Wynn last time. We were in Vegas, and the course looks amazing. We weren't able to play. We brought our wives, also known as my mom. So we brought them. So it was kind of a couples trip. So we didn't play golf, and I've never played Shadow Creek. I've actually never played golf in Vegas. Been there a couple times. Would love to hear. It's amazing. Yes, I watched the QB Capital One match, and it was hilarious. I mean, I love those. I think they should do way more. Let's see what else we got. Mickey Lynn said, "Lawyer, has made me a law nerd. That's fun." People saying they know where I get my good looks from. A lot of compliments on Daddy Tragos. Karen, nice Peter. What score did you shoot today? Did your dad play too? What was his score? My score today was a 79.
We don't. My score is a national secret. I'm sorry.
His score was a little bit higher.
A little bit higher. He beat me pretty bad.
All right, let's see here. Yes, make that a t-shirt. Tragos Randos. Palm Springs, California. Palm Springs, California has beautiful courses. Who wins, Dad, Peter, or Law and Lumber? I don't know how often Rob plays or what his handicap is. Usually that can give you a pretty good idea of how you're going to play. So we'll see.
One thing you should mention, Edith, is the American Dunes we played today.
Yeah,
is dedicated to the military, and it's one of those honors courses. There's only two of them in the country: Patriot and American Dunes, that honors the military.
Yeah, it was really cool actually, and it's a Jack Nicklaus course. All right, let's see what else we got. Dad looks like Sean Connery. Yeah, he gets that a lot.
I do get that a lot.
He likes that one. All right, let's see. Any other questions here we can get to before we sign off? Got about 2 minutes before we get to sleep here. Nice to see the conciliary on the screen. Whoops. More golf and football talk, Mind Grown said. I don't think a lot of people like it. I appreciate it. I think it's fun. So I think we can start doing this at the last 5 minutes of every video just because it's fun. Let's see here. Are you guys going to do another live together on the Depp trial? He's been on a bunch of them. So if you go check out some of the other ones we did, probably not. I don't know how many more we're going to do on that. And we'll just kind of see what's going on as it kind of one by one things happen in that case. Let's see here. View Galaxy, where are you playing tomorrow? We are playing at Arcadia Bluffs, the Bluffs course. I'm playing 36, so I'm playing the Bluffs and the South course. People saying, oh my gosh, he does look like Sean Connery. What's up with the CPS organization in Florida? I don't know, but there have been some issues with different ones, and we've actually brought them in on some lawsuits that we've had. But I don't know what this question is referencing. "36 is a long day." That's true. What trial are you planning on following? So Nipsey Hussle or something is happening in Miami. I would love to get Bruce Rivers on. We texted a little bit and talked on the phone about it. I'd like to get him on to talk about that case. Gabby Petito litigation is going on. The Vallow Daybell case is coming up. So we've got some stuff coming in the pipe. These cases are kind of rolling down. Sonny Balwani's case just came to a conclusion with closing arguments. So when we get that verdict, we'll talk about that as well. Rebex, what's your favorite Greek dish and beverages? Why don't you take this? And then people ask where we're from in Greece, so why don't you tell them that too?
Well, that's an easy answer. Domadas, my favorite food. Retsina, my favorite wine.
Okay.
So
And where are
you
we
got
from in Greece?
We're from the Peloponnesus area around Tripoli and Messina.
I see a lot of people saying, good job by lightning, better job by avalanche. Thanks a lot, guys. Gregory Johnson, can you do a live on the Atlanta VA employee that hits an elderly veteran? Did you see that?
No.
I haven't seen that either. So here's what I'll say. Post this stuff in our community page, or let me bring this up again on Instagram and Twitter. Send us your content ideas there. A lot of you are. And then we're going to create polls, and whichever one gets the most interest and the most votes is what we're going to dedicate the time to and do videos on the page. That's how we've always picked it. And it's been a lot of fun and a lot more engagement with that. So that's always how we're going to pick it. And make sure you hit the like button on this video if you do like the Ghislaine Maxwell stuff. So when her appeal comes, which it does, which it's going to, then we can make sure we look it over and talk about it. Tragos, Randos, Pete, Big George. So happy to see you guys. Happy to see you, Christian. Thank you. Did your dad look like you when he was younger? Somebody asked. No. Not really. I look more like, I mean, there's some resemblance, obviously, but I think I look more like my mom's side of the family. What do you think?
I think you probably do.
All right. You think my dad's handsome? I mean, wait till you see my mom. Tragos means drink in Spanish, so cheers. Can Amber Heard appeal anytime she wants, or is there a time limit? She has a time limit. I think it's 30 days from the entry of the final judgment. So she's going to file her notice of appeal here very soon. Do you think Stephen Avery will ever be free? I don't know. That's a hard one. Do you remember that? Making a Murder? We did a podcast actually on that a long time ago.
Gosh.
That was a wild, wild case. Again, if you want to check out the podcast archives, we were probably a lot less polished back then, but we've been doing podcasts for years. So we did do a podcast on the whole Making a Murderer saga, if you want to check that out. Salisha said, thanks for giving a new view on lawyers and the law. A lot of people saying that today. I appreciate that. Both of you look very relaxed. Harder for me than him. He relaxes very easy. Glad you're able to enjoy quality time together. The Greenbrier in my beautiful state of West Virginia has a wonderful golf course.
And I mentioned that, by the way, a couple of days ago. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I want to go to the Greenbrier because I hear the course is fabulous. Yeah, I have 2 courses, actually, but I hear they're fabulous.
Manitowoc, Wisconsin is something that is burned into my head forever. Like, I will never forget that. Dad's handicap. You want to talk about that? Want to talk about your handicap or no?
Huge. Let's just leave it at that.
Bigly. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. All right, we have crossed the 30-minute mark. This was a lot of fun, guys. Thank you for everyone that stuck around to do some extra Q&A. Thanks, Dad, for coming on.
Enjoyed it.
We're going to play some more golf on this trip. I'm going to do some more shorts. We'll do some more content. We've posted a lot of stuff. A lot of you that were with me and guessed I was going to shoot under what my handicap said I should shoot, which was 81 today. Those of you who were with me and who guessed I was going to hit the green, I love you forever, and I keep the receipts. And my sister voted that I was going to shoot over 81 and miss the green, and I sent her a nasty text saying, I can't believe you don't believe in me. And she was wrong. So check us out on Instagram and Twitter. Get involved in that stuff. We're having fun this week. Hopefully you guys are too. If we post a live, check us out. Come join us there. Ask your questions. Come hang out with us in this community. It's a lot of fun. Appreciate everyone being here. Hit the like button on your way out.